we've been on retail safaris, visiting different types of stores, and it's kind of hard to grasp what they're trying to do. Are they trying to sell products, or are they trying to give an experience?
Stops us from doing anything good. Like, it's cool. Tech is an enabler to increase productivity, efficiency.
How AI can be used in stores and stuff. So I think it's very interesting to see like the data currency. What will we then give away and what will that cost brands? Welcome to the first episode of the Next Gen Retail Pod. We are a group of companies sitting in the Next Gen Retail Hub here in Stockholm, and we all work with retail one way or another and come across lots of big brands and all the challenges and everything that they are thinking of, and want to do this pod to kind of share some questions, get some share some of our curiosity around this, around retail and business and tech and stuff in general. And this is the first episode. It's a bit of a pilot, and we will discuss some things, and maybe also on a meta level see if we can outline a bit of an agenda of things that we want to know a bit more about also. And together with me today I have Mia, Johannes and Jono that are experts in different areas and will then help me carry this conversation forward. So welcome to this Next Gen Retail Pod.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I could do very brief introductions. Mia is working at Workshop here, and she works a lot with retail, I guess, operations or helping big brands sell as much as possible. I don't know if that's just introduction.
There's more to say, but we can keep it at that.
Excellent. And Johannes is then coming at it more from like a design and concept perspective, a lot on what do people want and how do experiences visually and like tactile work in stores. Is that?
Both tactile and tactically
cool.
and strategic and how it looks.
Yes. And Jono, you are coming more from like a startup and AI and business ecosystem perspective, working with making sure that that stores and big brands get
the ability to do pop-up shops.
Yes.
And do short-term retail as the market is changing.
Cool. So then I tried then to introduce you a little bit, but do a very brief introduction of yourselves, including then a brand that is influential to you and why. Mia, go.
I'll start with the brand. I think when I got the question, I looked back at my life, and I think that IKEA is one of the brands that has impacted me the most, mainly because it's always been a part of my childhood home, my homes, and you always tend to go to IKEA to spend like X amount of money on a table, and you always walk out with 10 times the amount that you wanted to purchase. And I think that's something that they've succeeded to do. What I do, I do a lot of things, but yes, I manage the operational work that we do for big brands in distribution channels. I'll keep it at that. Yeah. I don't think we need to go into further detail.
No, I've actually done one IKEA shopping tour without buying anything. I don't know if that's only me in the world, but I went in, I cruised through the whole store, and then I left without buying anything. Not even
impressive.
The hot dog in the end.
That's truly impressive.
What was your mission? Why were you there?
I was living in Prague at the time, studying there, and then I just it was more of a Swedish experience, homesick. And then I just ended up not buying anything.
That's amazing, actually, like having a homesick feeling.
Yes,
but that is actually a thing for
anywhere
Swedes
in the world.
Yeah,
That's actually amazing. It's so nice to have so much reach.
Yes, one of the things that us Swedes tend to do when we're out and about. Johannes?
I'm also going to start with a brand that's been a big part of my life, and it's Lego. And I think it's so impressive how they keeping relevant generation after generation. You have parents building with their kids, those kids grown up building with their kids. And they have so many touch points. They have the movies franchise, the video games. They have a lot of digital communities. They have a Lego Master TV show, and they have everything for everyone almost. There's room for improvement though, and their physical retail stores aren't as good as the rest of their touch points. But I think it's a really cool brand that's been with me, and yeah. And when it comes to me, I'm a creative director here at Workshop, and been doing retail concepts globally and in Sweden, of course, the last 10-15 years, different agencies, from the strategy, insight, big idea to the actual constructional drawings and having it brought up to life.
Cool. And Lego is fantastic. I think it's amazing to see how this very, very simple, small thing can actually grow and also what they've done to like revamp the brand, what they did like 10 years ago or so. We can probably talk more about them some other time. Jono.
Yeah, so pretty difficult question, as you guys have some very inspiring brands. Somewhat Nordic-based as well. It really depends on what industry. So I don't actually have a particular favorite brand, because obviously you have like the feeling and emotional connotation you have with the brand, right? Which then you go, wow, this is really great. They're doing something that is life-changing. But then you also have like the technological aspect of a brand, and also as a business. So then like for me personally, obviously I love tech companies. So then you can think about like Microsoft in the 90s was awesome. Then in the 2000s it sunk. Now it's back up again, right? Because they completely diversified. They went into different industries. They started doing, all the different servers. Amazon as well. Pretty interesting how it went from the bookstore to the everything store. And this guy's vision was pretty direct. And then you have companies like NVIDIA, right, which is a graphics card producer, but then also does a number of other things with technology. So you use GPUs to make calculations to do amazing things. So I don't really have a particular brand, but in terms of fashion brands, obviously the Patagonia, the general one, which is pretty everyone uses, all hyped. It's pretty interesting. I thought Allbirds' business model was good. So to be honest, I don't really have a particular favorite brand. I like things that companies do, which makes them relevant, efficient, and also, let's say, sustainable. And times change. So different brands move at different times.
Yeah, and apart from them being interested in lots of big brands and lots of tech stuff, who are you?
Yeah. And then I forgot that. A little bit about me. So yeah, I'm Jonna. I'm the founder and CEO of X-Nomad. What we do is we help create pop-up stores through a marketplace platform. And we enable all these awesome brands to literally expand their reach across the globe.
Fantastic. And I should also tell everyone, tell everyone who I am. I'm John Karsberg. I am the head of strategy and insights at Workshop, and I have a background in retail many years, and then I've also a PhD in consumer marketing. So I'm ridiculously interested in what happens in minds of people and why we do what we do. So that's a little bit what I would want us to dig a little bit more into now. And then not only the consumer perspective, of course, but a bit on what's going on and how to interpret where we are. And I think that we've gone through COVID, and today the world is a bit of a difficult place. There are lots of things happening in different arenas. So I think it's interesting just to go around the table and see what has happened like during COVID and what is sticking. So what is actually important to take with us, and what is what's going on. And I don't know if we should. Let's start with Mia. If you.
Well, I would say online shopping, of course, increased a lot. Did it myself. I also think individual checkouts in stores is also a thing that really stuck. Although I don't see the impact that it has on. I would assume that having that type of checkout initially could also be to keep people away from each other, but keeping it in stores would also mean a decrease in staff and improving that. But I don't see that improving other areas within the store. So those stores that actually have the self-checkouts, it doesn't portray to me that something else has become better, that the service is better because they have more people on the ground rather than at the checkout and so forth. So those, I think, are the two main things that I see has happened since COVID. Yeah.
Johannes, or
I think when sort of restrictions were pulled back, people just happy to be back and to be able to go to the stores and go to the cinemas. And I think pretty soon, though, we realized that like not that much had happened, and we were already used to ordering online, and it's been 2-3 years now. We can go in just like we used to be in stores and meeting each other. But I think like the new normal was ordering online, and I think now we see a decline, but that's because of many things. I mean, the state we're in, it was not like COVID is over. Happy times. Other stuff happened.
No, but are you when you create like store concepts, is this taken into consideration? Are they different now? The way you think and the way also clients then want? But are there any different elements in stores that you draw now?
Yeah, I mean, it's not news, but it's been a giant leap, as you know. I mean, the old like USP that, okay, I can go to the store to get it in my hand right away. Even that is sort of losing its traction. I was this week and I was cooking stuff and I missed an ingredient, and it was faster for me to ordering online, get it in my hand, than actually go to the store, which is pretty close. And you can say what you want about that sort of behavior, but I think, so that's not going to be relevant for much longer. We can see how those like timings are meeting, like if it's going to be faster ordering online or Amazon go get it like tomorrow morning, or Apotea has been doing it for a long time, same day delivery. So it's going to be much more hyper-local offerings, curated. It's going to be bespoke services that you can't get online, and all that we've been discussing for years. We have a much more need for that now because of all this happening.
Yeah, and like the tech then, and like the ecosystem, I guess that there's been a lot of like shifts of power and stuff.
That is a very interesting question, actually. Yeah, there has been a lot of shifts of different power. I actually agree with a lot of what you said in terms of basically post-pandemic accelerated the systematic changes which would have happened in the economy anyways, right? So personalization, customization, experience orientation, like these are very key elements which everyone has been talking about in retail for the last, 10, 15 years. And, the pandemic made it happen within 1-2. It's quite incredible. So, people are more convenience orientated. They are more experience minded. So in your perspective, like from what I understand, obviously the stores you're creating are going to be amazing because people who want to go to stores want to have a great time and a fantastic experience. And then it's really good for the first time to, let's say, when you have a digitally native brand, right, coming physically for the first time, because you actually get to experience what that brand represents physically in an environment which you can touch, right? And that's really exciting. So then with this whole shift of the pandemic, yes, there's all these things happening. Cooler stores are going to happen, easier distributions, better convenience. And finally, the shifts of power is that, some retailers are going to speed up in how they operate, how they change the supply chain. Some real estate companies will obviously understand flexibility. So the key thing, I think, what happened post-pandemic is A, shift in technological change, and B, flexibility, right? People want flexibility, and this is happening. You don't sign something for 20 years anymore. That's how it works, and it's amazing to see something like that.
But wouldn't these stores that try to push through the noise need to be different amongst each other? So if you have one pop-up store that try to reach the persons that wants an experience, and one pop-up store for those who want to see the actual content and the materials and the product. Because I think we've been on retail safaris, visiting different types of stores, and it's kind of hard to grasp what they're trying to do. Are they trying to sell products, or are they trying to give an experience? And what is the outcome that they want from that?
Doesn't that depend on the agency or the brand person who's designing the store? Because basically when you go to this entire process, you ask the companies like, hey, are you making a sales-orientated store? Because there's different goals and KPIs. Or are you making a showroom-focused stores?
Yeah, but to me, I think that many companies are not good enough at understanding the whole customer journey, and they're still trying to use every touch point to do everything, which is confusing to the customer. Because if you have a customer journey, you do some things in one touch point and some other thing in another touch point. You're on a certain journey in your journey, and then you come into a store that is trying to push you from start to end, and you're not there. So I think there are lots of touch points and lots of stores, physical stores, that are still trying to to do way too much. They try to be transactional, inspirational, do everything, and they do not really dare to take a stand and take a bet. So, because I think that everyone has been talking about, and you know that experience and emotion is important for people when you make decisions, but still most stores are very boring. Most brand experiences happen somewhere completely different and is very separated from what you actually see in store, according to me. Then there are examples that are different. There are experience stores, there are flagship stores, there are things with lots of fun things happening, and when you integrate digital and physical experiences in a good way. But there are not very many, I would say, and it's not used in a smart way. And I think that that's also a lot due to like organizational silos, and there are lots of things that need to happen. But I'm very happy that, I guess COVID, not happy for COVID, but that accelerated some both organizational and then power shifts and consumer behavioral stuff. I think that's lots of cool things are happening, but we're kind of touching on tech a bit here, and I think that is really interesting. My opinion in some occasions is that tech is done because it can be done or it can be applied sometimes, and there's not really a reason for it. But I might be completely wrong. But what is the most important? What are the tech things that are happening and that is affecting retail? Unique things that no one has talked about before.
So obviously generative AI, right? So everyone's hyping all ChatGPT or the GPT-3 algorithm, which is amazing, right? I mean, it's a large language learning model, right? Which is fantastic. So like how I can see that affecting retail is you can see chatbots, automation, personalization, pricing, because all these things can happen in real time, and then you can get better customer experiences. You can be more efficient in what you do. So like the shift of technology of retail is really applicable to how it all combines with a single interface or a single connection. So like what I see maybe in retail is potentially using things like ChatGPT is like an iPhone moment. You will then create an ecosystem which a number of other companies can plug into to actually have a real use case, right? And I think this is pretty interesting on how this shift is happening. And I think that technology like ChatGPT or like different AI and machine learning algorithms or computer vision can literally make an experience super personal, right? And I think that is what customer demand is happening. You want personal products at a reasonable rate, customized for you, that's affordable.
Yeah, but then, because I think that this is, of course, I think that there are lots of things that are extremely interesting, but I think that will then some interface and stuff be skipped? Because you've been talking about voice for quite some time, and there you could basically say, I want to order something, and then that will pop up, because that algorithm will already know what I'm interested in. But still, we have not seen a lot of that, because we still want to have a choice. We still want to be inspired, and it's difficult then to say, okay, what am I interested in at the moment? Because I think that when it comes to personalization and all those things, it's not been advancing as fast as I thought it would be. I would say websites that are curated content to me, or stores that are taking care and understanding data-wise what I'm interested in and what I've done before. So I think that it's not been happening as fast as I would expect. And I don't know if that's...
All right, so then look, if you think about it, what about TikTok's algorithm, right? TikTok's algorithm is basically like dopamine hits. So every time you're looking through whatever things, it's slowly learning about your personalization and customization. So if you can get that type of technology into other types of applications, then maybe that customer experience will be better. Maybe you will get more personalized products, potentially maybe on voice when you speak to it. Yeah. It will give you exactly what you're thinking about and need, because it knows what gives you joy. Yeah. And I think this is a really exciting time we live in.
But will the stores then disappear?
No, I think people always want physical meeting points, right? People are human beings. You want customer centricity, you want to see people. I mean, like the whole idea of meeting places and buildings is because people are social beings.
Yeah, and a vast majority of the purchase decisions are taken where the store has a part of the journey is then somewhere there's a physical touch point involved. When it comes to store tech, what's going on and how is that working at the moment?
It's a lot going on, a lot not working as it should, because they just add tech for the sake of it, and they haven't really calculated on the actual value. And now this store looks modern more than it actually brings a new value. So of course you have the like cash-free stores and stuff like that. You have the big mirrors that sort of interact with you. Those been around for so long. So I think it's much more about the sort of hidden tech and how you use your smartphone in the store than actually having screens and stuff in the store, because that's just bells and whistles.
Yeah. So again, you need to understand the purpose of it and the customer driver in a way.
Yeah.
And
I thought, just on a note, what Jonathan mentioned, when the algorithms learn what you like when you sort of scroll through things, there's like a meta take on that, because I know that. So when I see something that I think is quite relevant, like something on Instagram, I flick through it anyways, because I'm sort of metaing the algorithm, because I don't want more. I would just like to see that a little bit, but not for too long.
So you swipe faster?
Swipe faster. I don't have too much of that. I can stay longer. So sort of, I don't know if it's still AI.
You're your AI.
Yeah, then it will know when you're trying to avoid it.
Yeah. And I actually do the opposite.
That?
Because I see some things that I might want to see more of this later on. I don't read it now, but then I might like it or click it or just spend a few extra seconds on it, because then I know it will come back.
You're still controlling. You're not just...
Instead of just doing a screen dump and saving it and then visit later or something else.
We talked about this before, but I don't like being pushed on by AI. So having a conversation like this, and then in an hour when we check our phones on Instagram or whatever, we tend to see different ads on the topics that we have covered. And I don't like that. I don't think that is a way of my personal customer journey in any way.
You think that's a generational aspect?
I think I'm in the right generation to be an audience for it. I just think that I want to choose when my journey begins.
Yeah, but I think that tech is not mature enough at the moment. I think it's been used and not calibrated to you then, because it's used because it can guess, or it's used on past behavior, but not good enough in predicting why you did it and where you are now. So I think that is probably going to improve. So you, if Jonathan's, if your
I
your
agree with that
predictions
perspective.
are
It's
right.
Yeah, I agree. It's just that AI will obviously, and technology will give you things that you want before you know you want them. And unfortunately, I think that this is going to happen whether you like it or not. And then the thing is, you will be following in these.
Yeah, but that's happened forever and ever. It's just that this is faster now, that there are more calculations. Because when I was teaching, there was this old story about the Target sending out direct like advertising to people, and then that was calibrated loyalty on someone, then looking at something, and then you sent. I don't remember exactly if it was diapers or if it was like pregnancy things, or it was somehow that you guessed that someone in the family was pregnant before that was almost official.
Based on demographics.
So I think that this has been going on. So there has been algorithms forever and ever. It's just that it's faster and better now and can use a lot more information, because every decision, everything we do is kind of based on an algorithm. We make some rules of thumb, and we take in some different points of information before we decide. And that, I guess, is the same as AI, but they do it a lot faster with machine learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then to next topic, I was just thinking, okay, what are we curious about? We've talked about some things that we are curious about, but what are like the central things that we now want to know more about? That is, okay, this is just coming, and this could be interesting, or I'm interested in what's going on with that, or this topic, or that brand, or are there any specific things that you're thinking of that is that you want to know more about, or that will
on
happen?
my point, I already mentioned like generative AI. Like, it is going to change a lot of things, I believe. Just in the use applications, I think that people get better at like prompt engineering, because there's also all these different waves of tech, right? We had the Web3, and then now we have generative AI, which is awesome. And I think, or I believe, that there will be some things that will drastically change how we live and work, because it enables us rather than stops us from doing anything good. Like, it's cool. Tech is an enabler to increase productivity, efficiency, and basically lifestyle. I mean, like, this is basically even what you learn in economics, right?
Yeah.
You have all these different growth models. as well. You know, you have like Solo Swan, you have Roma models. These guys thought that technology could offset like capital depreciation, labor, and this is what's happening. And we're seeing it today. It's quite interesting. Like seeing how these small little changes, which has been developed over 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah, I see all the ideas spinning in your head. And
Yeah,
how do I
so
capitalize on this?
passionate.
Yeah, it's just interesting because what time we live in, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
It
think
is
about
really, really.
50,
And then
60
I'm
years
sitting here
ago.
saying, I don't want to be pushed on on AI.
No, but I think that's human though, that you don't
Yeah.
want it to be pushed on you, but then it is affecting
But
us
that's for
already.
me as an individual looking at companies being able to use AI to increase their sales or increase their brand advocacy and so forth. I think it's a really, really good tool.
Yeah, but how is tech? Because I missed you in that. I didn't ask you how tech was affecting, how you thought tech was affecting stuff in retail.
Well, in retail, I would say for me and the work that I do is more of how to communicate with the broader mass, even if it's consumers or if it's brand store staff and so forth, to try and educate them on products or sales pitches specified for their brand. So I think that's a challenge that's coming. There are ways to handle that with different types of digital engagement programs, for instance, where you can reach a broader mass digitally.
Yeah, so that I guess is changing a little bit on how you can then optimize your business. And I think that came out of COVID when you weren't allowed to use any physical touch points.
Physical touch points, exactly. And then you have to bring it online. But I think the combination of having physical presence, like pop-up stores or really good educated staff, is the way to go in order to reach the consumer that you want. And you can also create that type of journey for the customer if you combine the two, and not just rely on one. So basically the omni-channel perspective on things.
And is there anything else you're curious about that you want to add?
Well, we can sit here for hours in that case. Well, I think I'm really interested in seeing just how AI would work in stores. Not from the phone, but rather how would it work within stores? Would there be some type of way of the store to recognize your phone's behavior, what you have done on your phone, to be able to push forward whatever you would like within that store, to present with you with different types of products that they know that you will like, to increase your purchase behavior.
Yeah. And Johannes?
In these times, uncertain times, and war in Europe, I would like to know more about consumer behavior. We also have the inflation and the economical situation. We have less money, but where do we spend money? Do we treat ourselves to comforting Ben & Jerry's ice cream and sort of cuddly blankets? Can you see that sort of shift? So consumer behavior in what we tend to where we spend our money. There's a lot of research going on right now. It's pretty early, but that would be really interesting to see. Yeah.
I heard about the lipstick effect the other day.
Nice.
That is
Nice.
apparently that the beauty industry is doing better, at least special segments on it when things are worse, because they're like the small luxury things.
Yeah.
The big luxury things and the more expensive stuff we might not buy as much, but then the small. So lipstick is one.
Ben &
If
Jerry's.
lipstick goes up, yeah, I guess Ben & Jerry's could be one.
But
thing
Ben &
also.
Jerry's would become a luxury brand now in these economical
It's sort of a metaphor
situation.
for when you're feeling down and the world is too much for you.
Yeah.
And
So
that's literally the lipstick effect, right? It's so interesting on how beauty, like in financial crises and in times of like when consumer spending is declining, things that tend to increase is consumer staples, right? So grocery stores, oil and gas, all these kinds of things which are essentials. And then you get things like beauty, exactly as you mentioned, which is amazing. It's like the inverse. And then you have things called like Veblen goods, right? Which basically increase in consumer value when the price increases as well. So like in financial crises, these things happen. And it's quite amazing that they continue to happen over all the different business cycles. So yeah, I think what will happen now with the rise in interest rates, all these things, a lot of the things that we saw in 2008, 2090s, but then with some elements of where that good could be cheaper, you could be getting more value from it. It will be more custom and you will get more bang for your buck for an item that maybe 10 years ago wouldn't have given you as much value or personalization. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in the next few years.
Yeah, what I think about a lot is all research also that will say that you need to spend more money or you will get a bigger bang for the buck. Is that also when it comes to marketing activities and store activities and everything that is then building your brand. Because first, of course, most of your competitors will reduce their spending, which gives you more of a relative advantage. And then also when we shift them from maybe buying things to dreaming about things or emotionally being connected, it's easier than to maybe create an experience. I think that's interesting. Another thing that I'm very curious about is data. And Mia, you talk about how AI can be used in stores and stuff. So I think it's very interesting to see like the data currency. What will we then give away and what will that cost brands? And when it comes to privacy issues and stuff, and who will do that in a good way to then create a value for then the customers. So it's not pushed on you. So you're not getting more of what you just talked with your friends about, but where it's actually used in a way that can they create value. I think it's really interesting when you look at kids and the way that they then value information. They basically, if you look at apps and stuff, they pay with their time to get, if you watch this ad 30 seconds, then you can keep on playing without spending money. And they know that. So that's a very interesting currency, I think, for young
you didn't
people.
buy the game.
No, I didn't.
No, what was that experiment where you give children a particular candy and then if they wait for a certain period
but that's
of time,
the marshmallow test.
Yeah, so it's the marshmallow test. Isn't that some way applicable too? So then it can also potentially teach kids to wait rather than spend?
Yes,
depending
but I
on
think
if they
that
have the
when
ability.
it comes to what you talked about, the TikTok effect and all the algorithms, it's actually there to try to entice you then to spend and the marshmallow test is actually a very, very interesting piece of research. Maybe I shouldn't say this live since I haven't checked all the facts yet, but I think that's basically you were then you gave a kid a marshmallow and then you left the room and then you said, okay, if you don't eat this, you will get 2 when I come back, blah, blah, blah. And some kids, they managed to wait and some didn't. And then they have done follow-ups on that many years later and then looked at, okay, how good are people doing? I think it's been questioned a bit. And there were some results, and I think it's would be interesting to see if there are different facets to that. If say the people that took it instantly, there's probably a group there that could not resist temptation, and then that I would say something about them. And then there would also be a group there that would be extremely smart. And this is an opportunity. I will have this. I act on it, and those are maybe the ones that will then become entrepreneurs and stuff, because that's a very calculated risk, and they do some things and they really understand it. I think it's really, really, really interesting. But yeah, there are books and stuff written about that.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
Don't know. Yeah,
but it is. You could also apply it to different things, or you could also apply it to like economies, for instance. Like countries with high saving rates, low populations tend to outperform countries with massive populations and low saving rates, right? So you save today, and then you spend tomorrow in order to create the infrastructure to make it more productive in the future. So like there are some like things you can draw conclusions from in that.
Definitely.
And I think this is going to be quite interesting, like in the whole realm of the future of retail and how all these things happen in personalization, because maybe like scarcity of goods is something that will happen, right?
So in the future, you will do a marshmallow test instead of like the 3-year controls and the 6-year controls, or whatever you do with kids. You give them a marshmallow, and then AI will then predict exactly what will happen, and you will get to the right schools, and you will buy the right stuff, and then your whole life is sorted out by AI already from the beginning.
Yeah, maybe it could determine all these things once we know.
Yeah, that's a good end, I guess, to our predictions of this. The future retail will be marshmallows then. Excellent. Thanks a lot for chatting and for having this conversation. There are lots of things to be curious about, and there are lots of things that we need to keep on discussing and try to understand to I guess be able to both advance our own minds and learnings and stuff, but also then to create I guess a bigger and higher business value for clients and
so we didn't even get to talk about retail in the metaverse.
No.
I was waiting for that actually.
Metaverse is
going to be pretty interesting.
It's the future.
Yeah.
Depends.
Yeah.
I also had a saying about there is not going to be any 400 square meter regular stores anymore. It's just going to be brand temples and pop-ups.
Yep.
But let's keep that one as well.
Yeah,
let's hope so.
That one. And then we can also discuss
With
why
both of us.
VR and stuff has not taken off, as everyone was then saying 20 years ago.
Yeah, technology has to catch up, right?
Yeah. And there has to be a need to...
Because there was
to use
VR
it.
in like the early 90s.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
To be continued. Take care.
Until next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.